All right, algebra students, in this section of topic 7, section 5, we are going to specifically look for patterns in the steps of these terms so that we can determine how to factor polynomials. So these polynomials do not necessarily have a GCF, but what we're looking to do is we're looking at ax squared plus bx plus c. And we're going to take that trinomial and we're going to factor it down so that it is the product of two binomials. So what we're going to look at to determine what the pattern is x plus 2 times x plus 3. When we did this in 7-2, what we did is we multiplied by using the double distributive property. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. And I'm going to write out all of the steps because that's how we're going to determine what our pattern is. And then here. So I end up with x times x, which is x squared, x times 3, which is 3x, 2 times x, which is 2x, and then 2 times 3, which is 6. So when I simplify this, I want to simplify it into this ax squared plus bx plus c form. So I have to combine these like terms. So I get x squared plus 5x plus 6. So if we're looking at a pattern, what I'm noticing here is that this 6 comes from the product of these last two terms. So the product of the last two terms in the binomials is the last term of the trinomial C. Okay, so if we want to go backwards, then what we're going to think about is, okay, what times what gets us to C, and that becomes those last two terms of the binomial. Now, what we're also noticing is that this 5 here comes from the sum of these two terms, which is also the sum of those last two terms in the two binomials. So the sum of the last terms of the binomials is the coefficient of the second term of the trinomial. Which is b. So we get our b value by adding those two terms together, and we get our c value by multiplying those two terms together. So if we want to go backwards, what we're looking for is what multiplies to get 6, but those same two things that multiply to get 6 also need to add to get 5. Okay, so we're going to look at a pattern where we get the same thing multiplying together to get 6 and adding to get 5 at the same time. So if we do example 1 is to factor x squared plus 5x plus 6. So what we're thinking about here is what multiplies to get 6? And what adds to get 5? Okay, so we know that we get this C term by multiplying and adding to get 5. So let's start by always listing the factors of this multiplication. So I could do 1 times 6, but that doesn't add to 5. I could do 2 times 3. Oh, 2 times 3 adds to get 5. Okay, so that 2 and 3 are the two numbers in the binomial. And then I know because this is an x squared, I have to have an x and an x in the binomial as well. So it ends up being x plus 2 times x plus 3. And that's our answer. Okay? So now the pattern is going to be the same. We're always going to be looking for what multiplies to get C, what adds to get 5, but the signs are going to be a little bit different. So this time I want to factor x squared minus 11x plus 18. So my thought is I need to add to get 11, negative 11, got to remember that sign, and I need to multiply to get positive 18. So what are some factors of 18? I can say, well, I have 6 times 3, I have 9 times 2, I have 18 times 1, and which of these is going to add to get negative 11? Well, actually at this point, none of them do. 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 2 is 11, but it's positive 11. So what we need to get a positive 18 is we actually need negative 9 times negative 2. And that adds to get negative 11. So our binomials are going to be x minus 9 and x minus 2. And I can always check myself because I can re-multiply this out and make sure I end up back at x squared minus 11 plus 18. So that is my solution. Okay. Now we can also have a negative c, but a positive b. So factoring x squared plus 5x minus 6. So this one's looking very similar to this first example. We're going to add to get 5, but this time we're going to multiply to get negative 6. Now this is one that I see students often get confused on. Because a lot of times when we're thinking of factors, we forget that 1 is a factor of everything. So we're going to multiply to get negative 6, but add to get 5. So when we multiply to get a negative product, that means one number has to be negative and one has to be positive. So I'm going to think of negative 1 times 6, negative 6 times 1, negative 3 times 2, negative 2 times 3. And what I'm seeing is that when I add these, oh, there it is, I get positive 5. So when I rewrite this as two binomials, my negative 1 goes with 1x, and my positive 6 goes with the other x. And that is my solution. Now, the last example is, what if both my b and my c are negative? Okay, so I'm going to factor. Oh, and I'm going to throw a double variable in there. Oh, no, I'm not going to show you a double negative. I'm going to show you one that has two variables. So x squared plus 10xy plus 24y squared. So again, I'm still only going to look at the numbers to start. So I'm trying to find something that multiplies to get 24 and adds to get 10. Okay. So when I think about multiplying to get 24, I'm like 3 times 8, 24 times 1, 12 times 2, 6 times 4 adds to get 10. So that's the product, or those are the factors that I'm going to use. Now, my x squared is still there. So I know that my first part of my binomial is still going to be x, because I still have to multiply those to get my x squared. And then I know that I have to have a plus 6 and a plus 4. But what is important to notice now is that I have this y squared that's also there. And so each the 6 and the 4 have to have y's with them as well. So this is my answer. I'm going to double check by multiplying just to make sure that I got it right. So x times x is x squared. X times 4y is 4xy. 6y times x is 6xy. And then 6y times 4y is 24y squared. So I do have my x squared and my 24y squared. And then I can double check 6xy plus 4xy is 10xy. So I know that my answer is correct because when I multiply that out, I get back to my original trinomial. And that is how you factor trinomials that are in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is equal to 1, and we try and find the pattern between the b and the c. Now, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and complete these try-its. And I am going to post a picture of the notes with this. You can check your answers on the try-its when you are done.